Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I've got something a little different for you today. For those that have been following my channel, you'll know that I'm on an OMAD journey. I've done about 70 days and lost just over 25 pounds. Today I wanted to have a look at some other creators' videos that might give some advice around the best way to use intermittent fasting at OMAD. And I couldn't think of anyone better than Autumn Bates. So I'm on her channel at the moment. Autumn Bates is a clinical nutritionist. She has about 500,000 followers, and she shares some excellent videos about diet, nutrition, and with a particular focus on the benefits of fasting. I've been following her myself for a couple of years, and I think she's a great creator. She has a very popular video called the 10 intermittent fasting mistakes you might be making. So I thought it might be fun today to run through those 10 mistakes that people commonly make, and just to let you know, am I making them and has it affected my weight loss? As you can see, I'm here on our channel. It's our most popular video. It's had over 2,200,000 views. It's about 3 years old. Let's rip into it.
What? And
I love intermittent fasting. It's helped me and a lot of my clients and AN peeps to help achieve
Like
your
me, Autumn loves intermittent fasting. In fact, it's videos like hers that probably got me into intermittent fasting. Let's go skip straight down to the first recommendation. So number one
is not drinking enough water. This is crucial because when you are in your fasting period, you're not eating anything. And
yeah, this is great. I've said this in my videos too. People often ask me, how do you not eat during your fasting window? How do you control your hunger? Drink more water, drink heaps of water. When you're not eating, you don't have as many carbs in your system. Therefore, you're going to lose a lot of water and you'll have initial weight loss, which I've shared that experience before. But you also need to replenish that water that you lose. So drink plenty of water. It helps manage your fast. Recommendation number two.
All right, number two, jumping in too hard too fast, especially if you're used to having a high carbohydrate diet or if you just don't have a great diet in general to begin with.
Yeah, jumping in too hard too fast, it's a common problem. A lot of people will go from eating at least 3 square meals a day plus snacks, and then they say, oh, I'm going to start doing 1 meal a day. And they've never experienced a prolonged fast. Even if you're doing shorter intermittent fasting protocols, such as an 18 and 6, so that would be 16-hour fast and 8-hour eating window, that can be a bit of a shock to the system for some people. So my own experience is I probably had 12 to 18 months experimenting with intermittent fasting over the years before I really decided that 1 meal a day was going to work for me. Even in leading into my 1 meal a day, I probably did a good month, maybe 2 months on a 18 and 6, but I still wasn't having the weight loss results that I wanted. My main reason was because I think I was eating too much overall during that 8-hour eating window. So that's why I went to 1 meal a day, and that's where I've had a lot of success. But certainly if you've never done fasting before, you want to start softly. So maybe just start by skipping breakfast and see how long in the day it takes until you start to have some of those cravings. And then, set some short-term goals around trying to get that fasting window longer and longer and longer. And ultimately, if you're following this channel, it's probably because you want to get to 1 meal a day. And you can go cold turkey. People do it all the time, but you will have a challenge in terms of cravings, energy, hunger, etc. Number three.
Not having any electrolytes in the morning. Remember how I said that most people aren't drinking enough water?
Yeah.
It's also important to make sure that you get electrolytes as well. So
Yeah, look, I could leave that if I wanted to. I don't have any electrolyte replacement in my diet, never have. I believe I get enough electrolytes from my food, so the salt that I'm eating. I've heard of people, and this is common in the keto world as well, where people will add salts and that sort of things just to their water. I find that is a bit unpalatable, but people have reported it helps them with things like dehydration. Lack of electrolytes will mean that your muscular function might not be as efficient. And remember, your brain's a muscle, so you can get cloudy, foggy, and headache and those sorts of things. So, electrolyte replacement hasn't been a problem for me. I also would caution you doing electrolyte replacement during fasting windows, because some electrolyte replacements, such as Gatorade, those sorts of things, actually contain a lot of calories. So just be careful what you're putting into your body during that fasting window. The goal is not to consume calories, and some electrolyte replacements have a lot of calories, a lot of sugar. So I don't necessarily care for electrolyte replacement. I'll take it or leave it. Let's get on to number four.
number four, not eating enough. So not eating enough during your eating window. Your body's already naturally tapping into fat.
Yeah, and I look, on 1 meal a day, I think most people find that this is not necessarily a problem because you're naturally fasting for so long that your hunger is so great that when you sit down, you will tend to consume a lot of food. If you don't eat enough, you will not be satiated and you will not feel full. And then there's probably more of a tendency to want to snack during your fasting window. But I would just caution you that when you, and I'm sure Autumn talks about this in her video, choose the right kind of foods that are going to satiate you. So low calorie dense foods, vegetables, fruit, lean protein. Then you got the fattier natural fats, such as nuts, seeds, etc. Avoiding that things that are high in oil, high in fat, because fat is very calorie dense. So for the volume of food you get, you don't get a lot of you get a lot of calories for very little volume. So those foods help you fill up. I like to start my meal with a big plate of vegetables, with that steamed or roasted vegetables with very little oil or butter or anything like that on them. And that does two things. It helps break my fast, gives me all the fiber that I need, and it fills me up. Then I'll have the protein and other sources and maybe some treats after that. But avoid processed foods generally. I've also shared that I stopped thinking about it like an eating window, because if I gave myself 1 hour or 2 hours to eat, I would just graze that entire period. I had very little self-control. So now I think of it just as a meal. And I said to myself, if I'm still hungry after this, I will allow myself to have one snack for dessert.
5, pairing intermittent fasting with a high carb diet.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're having a high carb diet, even if it's from a more whole food source, this means that you're going to have higher amounts of carbohydrate, of course, which means that you'll also have higher amounts of insulin. And part of what you're
Yeah, great. Autumn will get into it in more detail, but it's really good advice. So one of the benefits of fasting is that you stabilize your insulin levels. So whenever you eat carbohydrates in particular, which is glucose and fructose, that triggers your body to release insulin. Insulin's a hormone, and it enables the sort of fat storage component of your digestion. So in the presence of insulin, you'll convert that glucose to fat, and you'll store that in your fat storage. By fasting, you are reducing the amount of carbohydrates that you're eating because you're not eating so frequently. And therefore, your insulin levels aren't spiking, and therefore, the glucose that's in your bloodstream is going to be used for fuel and not necessarily converted to fat. And once you've used all that fuel, you'll start to convert the fat to fuel so that you can fuel your body from your fat stores. So this is good advice. If you want to continue that benefit, then in your eating window or for your one meal, don't load up on high carbohydrate food, because you are going to then really spike that insulin. So you'll be spiking your insulin less frequently, but you'll still be spiking your insulin. So it's good advice to try and eat lower carb foods. That was how I initially started out on my journey back sort of in the first 2 weeks. I haven't been strict on carbohydrates, and I've still lost a lot of weight doing one meal a day, mostly down to calorie restriction, which I haven't been conscious of. But think about it. If you're only eating one meal instead of three, you should be eating less calories. So don't think that the only way to do OMAD is also to pair it with low carb, but there are certainly additional benefits you'll have from eating low carb during OMAD. Let's get on to recommendation number 6.
eating a small meal when you break your fast, or having like a snack to hold you over. Remember how I talked about when you
Yeah, take it or leave it. I'm doing one meal a day, so I'm not going to have a small meal. So same kind of concept. Choose a low calorie opening your fast meal option that's going to satiate you. I think that's the point she's trying to make. But on OMAD, take it or leave it. Basically, you want to make sure you have that meal. You want to make sure you get full. So let's get down to number 7.
7, having collagen in your keto coffee. Now this has gotten really trendy.
Yeah, she's really correct. Keto coffee, and this video is a couple of years old, I think already. Keto coffee was a bit of a fad during the keto diet sort of craze. I think keto coffee is disgusting personally. For those that don't know, keto coffee is essentially a black coffee, and in the absence of cream or milk, you would put some fat source, coconut oil, butter, ghee. Autumn suggesting you would add additional collagen as a supplement. I don't know what collagen really is. Well, to your keto coffee. Look, I just could leave keto coffee. I don't think it's important. Autumn also talks about eating keto coffee during your fast, I think in the water recommendation. So for me, that's a no-no, because keto coffee, you're putting fat into it, contains calories. I just drink black coffee. You can leave the keto coffee for me. I don't think it fills you up any more than a black coffee would, but you're having calories for no reason, and it's very dense calories because it's coming from fat. So I don't agree with recommendation number 7. Maybe there's some benefits to collagen in keto coffee, but I just think keto coffee is crap, so don't even go there. Number
8,
8.
not being flexible with your eating window. A key aspect of any type of lifestyle is making sure that it actually fits your lifestyle. So for most people, Monday through Friday.
Yeah, good recommendation. Like I'm 70 days on OMAD now. The only way I've been able to achieve that is because I flex my eating times, and I flex the sizes of my meals as well. So use fasting as a tool to manage your lifestyle or manage around your lifestyle. It's good advice. I guess it just means don't become beholden to such structure, such as this is the time of day that I eat every day without fail, because you won't be able to sustain that. There's going to be things in your life that affect whether or not that's sustainable. Work events, kids' sports, social activities, holidays. You just need to be flexible. And for me on OMAD, I just think about eating once a day. Usually for me, that's the same general time every evening, which is dinner time for us, 6 p.m. But there have been days where I've said, okay, today we're having a lunch with friends for Thanksgiving. So my one meal today is going to be lunch, and then I'm just going to skip dinner. So that is how you flex it around your lifestyle. And also in the book Fast Feast Repeat, there's the concept of up days and down days. So if you're having if part of your lifestyle there's a social event, Thanksgiving dinner, for example, you're going to eat a big meal, right? You're going to eat all the trimmings, turkey, you might have some pie. That's going to be a very high calorie meal. So bookend that with a couple of low calorie days. So that's your high day, have some low days. So leading into that, today I'm just going to have a vegetarian meal or a salad or a salad with tuna and something that are very lean protein. Going to keep the calories low because I know tomorrow I'm going to have a bit of a binge, a bit of a blowout. So yeah, be flexible and don't worry too much about the structure. But still, just once a day. Okay, I think we're up to number 8.
8, not being flexible with your eating window. A
Nope,
key aspect
we're up
of
to number
any type
9.
of drinking alcohol outside of your eating window. Just because it's a liquid does not mean that it won't break your fast. In fact,
very good advice, and I'm guilty as charged. I will often, not often, once a week, once a fortnight, we've been out for dinner with friends, and I've had some wine, some beer, some spirits during my meal, but then have had a couple of extras outside of the eating window. Uh, you just need to be mindful. There's calories in alcohol, and particularly if you're having higher calorie alcohol options like beer, wine, and spirits with mixes in them, so cola or soft drinks. They will add to the calories on top of the calories from alcohol. So yeah, common sense. Just restrict the amount of alcohol you're going to drink. You should be restricting the amount of alcohol anyway. If you're trying to lose weight, it's not helpful. The other thing I found with one meal a day, if you go back to point 1, alcohol's a diuretic. So if you had, say, 3 or 4, even 5 glasses of wine in a meal, you're going to be probably tipsy. Let's be honest. I can't hold many wines before I get a little bit tipsy. So there's a tendency for you to snack and overeat when you are under the effects of alcohol. But the next day, the diuretic effects mean you'll be dehydrated. And I found that every time that I've had a few drinks during my meal and around my eating window, the next day I have been hungrier, thirstier, grouchier, all those negative things. So I wouldn't say hungover, because if you're hungover, you know what that feels like. But even just the softer effects of having had the diuretic and the alcohol the night before means you might be at more risk of breaking your fast or needing to consume things like electrolytes and other things. So just be mindful of alcohol consumption. Guilty as charged. It's a great recommendation. But in saying that, in 70 days, I've probably had, let me estimate, maybe less than 10%. So 7 of those days out of 70, I've consumed alcohol outside of my one meal, eating opportunity, and I've continued to lose the weight. So everything is okay in moderation is probably the point. But good advice. Let's get down to lucky last, number 10.
and number 10, not getting enough sleep. So this one might be weird to wrap your head around, and that's why I put it last. But when you don't get enough sleep, your body didn't have time to fully recover.
Yeah, it's good advice. Just generally get the right amount of sleep. I don't get enough sleep, but I did find that one of the mistakes that I was making that contributed to not getting enough sleep during OMAD, I like to drink diet sodas, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi in particular. I don't believe that it breaks you fast. Some people say that that's called dirty fasting. That any sweetened beverages should be avoided during your fasting. but I don't care. There's no calories, and I've had success, and I've been drinking diet sodas, diet colas the whole time. But what I did find personally is that by having Coke, Pepsi, those sorts of things, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, Coke Zero, you are still consuming the caffeine. And remember, during my fast, I drink a lot of black coffee as well. So I was drinking a lot of caffeine, and I think that was affecting my sleep. So my wife and I decided to start drinking still diet sodas. So there's no calories, but there's caffeine-free options. So we go and choose the caffeine-free options, and I think that's really helped with my sleep. So yeah, generally, it's always good advice to get more sleep. Thank you to Autumn. If you do catch this video, Autumn, really respect you as a creator. The intent here was not to slag off any recommendation, it's just to give people feedback about whether or not I've made these mistakes. And I think they're all really good advice and mistakes people should try and avoid. So like and subscribe to the channel, guys, and I'll keep the content coming. Peace out. Bye.